back to my channel. The last time I was here, I think my video essay was on the 4B movement in South Korea and feminism, which is going to play in. 4B isn't going to play into this movie. It kind of does, literally, like, be angry. Be an angry feminist. But today we're going to be talking about 10 Things I Hate About You, which really is my favorite movie, and the complexities of Kat being a angry feminist. 10 Things I Hate About You is a 90s teen rom-com movie starring Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger. Now, a lot of people regard Kat as this like feminist icon. There's many complexities in Kat's feminism that challenges her being this feminist icon, but there's also a lot of things that play into her being this feminist icon that the movie makes her out to be. So today we'll be touching on that and the taming of the shrew trope in the movie. I know, if you're not hearing the usual audio wreckage that is my microphone that I had, something happened. I can't really use it, so this is fake right now. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So sorry if the audio is like very echoey in here, but that's literally the reason. This is just for vibes, okay? So move along with me, thank you. Okay, so today I want to touch upon not just Kat, but her sister Bianca, because I feel like touching upon Bianca as well as Kat really shows the complexities in Kat's feminism in the movie, but also the portrayal of feminism, whereas angry feminism in the movie is. Kat, on one hand, is this angry feminist character. She's known as the Shrew by a lot of people. We see Cameron, which is one of our main characters, literally ask who she is.
You okay?
Yeah. Just a minor encounter with the Shrew.
This movie is based off of William Shakespeare's play, The Taming of the Shrew, where Kat, the main character of William Shakespeare's play, basically is tamed by a man. She starts off being really angry, really like, oh no, I don't want to get married, I don't want to do any of that. And the guy that she marries ends up taming her, essentially. This in itself is problematic as hell, but 10 Things I Hate About You is based off of that. Kat is seen as that shrew character. There's complexities with making Kat the shrew. Why is the feminist the shrew? Why does she have to be necessarily angry? That's already a stereotype that a lot of people give to feminists. Now, Bianca, on the other hand, Kat's sister, is this more popular girl. She's really shallow, really pretty, really in her head, and she only really cares about what others think. And when we see the two interact, not only with each other, but with other people in the movie, it really brings on these dynamics of like, what is feminism and the complexities that it deals with. Now, the first modern day contrast we have for this is the pick-me trope in the movie. Kat can be seen as like a pick-me girl, and now if you don't know what a pick-me girl is, this is very a girl that gives into the male gaze. She wants to do everything for like the male gaze, basically, male satisfaction, and she tends to denounce other women around her because of that, not really making her a girl's girl. It was a trope that was created on TikTok, and a lot of people still reference it to this day. Now, I don't really necessarily know if Kat is a pick-me girl after all the journal articles and everything I read. There's a journal article named The Manifestation of Internalized Sexism in the Pick-me Girl Trope on TikTok. And it describes what like this pick-me girl kind of is. I don't know if it's necessarily that to a T, but that's what the journal article describes it as. And it's like this more angry girl. Like, she doesn't wear skirts. She doesn't conform to femininity. She only listens to rock music. And she just doesn't really care for like female friendships. And Kat kind of fits into that search. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Also, let's check out my outfit today. I don't know if you really can see it, but it was kind of like, it's supposed to be giving Kat. It's supposed to be, I'm trying my hardest. But reading that trope and thinking about Kat, like, she fits into that. And it's really funny when we think about how she disregards other women in the movie, specifically when she's talking to her sister, because Bianca is just like, oh, like, I'm in the clouds, I'm really pretty, like, that's all I really care about. And Kat is just like, girl, get a grip, basically. We see that in the scene where she's like, as opposed to playing what? Look at me, look at me. I think I ate that to her sister Kat, who was just basically like, I don't want to be like you. She judges Kat for her conforming to like popularity and conforming to this male gaze that she tries so hard to push against. And I think that's what could make her a pick-me girl in the movie. However, I don't know if she's necessarily a pick-me girl because she judges every single person. She judges the men more than she judges her sister. Like, she hates men. Girl, I'm with you right there. I don't really know. I'm starting to be with you. Side note, before men start sharing their opinions, I don't really hate men. Sorry. Maybe. Anyways, in the patriarchal society of the movie, these stereotypes that Bianca fits into, not only just Bianca, but other women in the film fit into, makes Kat dislike these women, and she doesn't even really know it. Challenges her feminism in that way. Like, her keeping Bianca from going out, from living her life. Yes, Bianca gets angry. She has all right to get angry at that. Kat basically took that choice away from her. And is that really feminism if you're taking that choice away from your sister? Why can't your sister experience her life the same way you got to experience yours? Yes, bad stuff has happened to you, but you're taking away her right to choose. And I think that's how, like, Kat can really come off as a pick-me in the film, because you think you're so much better than everybody else because you're angry and you don't do this, you don't go to parties, you don't date around, you stay in the house. That doesn't make you better than other women. That's why she is a pick-me low-key. But I don't think she's fully a pick-me girl. This is why Kat isn't like the perfect feminist icon that we may make her out to be, because she thinks that Bianca being hyper feminine and how she is makes Bianca like this defenseless girl that like needs to be saved because like she thinks Bianca's hyper femininity makes her so defenseless and like, oh my God, like she's not going to be able to carry herself in the world because she's so vulnerable. Whereas Kat's anger and constant like defense against everybody else, how does that make her any better? That's why she kind of fits into the pick-me girl trope. I think what challenges her being a pick-me is, my idea of a pick-me is very much someone that like centers the male gaze and centers like what men think. And I think when we think about that idea, we think Bianca is more of a pick-me girl. But then Bianca really improves along. Like, my favorite scene in the movie has always been when she punches Joey in the nose and she goes, "That's for punching my date."
Oh! And that's for me. Oh!
Like, Bianca takes that, like, naiveness that she had and that shallowness, and it all shifts within that scene. It was building up to shift, but we can really see that because she stands up for herself, and the whole time she's still that hyper feminine girl she always was. She never changed that about herself. And Kat making it seem like she was so defenseless because of this hyperfeminism really calls into question, is she actually like a pick-me girl instead of this feminist icon we all may know her to be? Now, I think this all gets challenged as like that angry feminist stereotype comes into play, because we're supposed to see Kat's anger as a negative. I mean, she's literally called the Shrew throughout the movie. Like, she's a shrew. She's like all in her head, and she goes to these rock groups. At one point in the movie, I believe Patrick asked Bianca if Kat is like harboring any same-sex tendencies. Oh no, we found a pair of black panties in her drawer, so she must like men. Like, that's like so ridiculous. I'm thinking about it because, what? Anyways, this like angry feminist stereotype is supposed to keep her down, but let's be realistic here. She never changes her political opinions throughout the movie. She keeps that anger and brings it with her. Yes, in the end, she becomes more vulnerable, hence the poem that she writes about Patrick and everything. but she's still the same girl. She never really changes. And I think that's important, especially in modern day, to like keep that anger. You have a right to be angry. You like, as a woman around the world, you have a right to be angry. That's why I said the 4B movement could kind of tie into this. Yes, very radical. Valid. Hey, it's super valid why these women are angry. And it's valid why Kat is angry. She experienced stuff with Joey, which no girl should experience. And losing that vulnerability that she had with him to then turn around and be painted as this like angry shrew for her political ideas. She never gave up on that. She stood firm in her ideas, and that is what kind of also makes her that feminist icon. She never gave up on her feminist beliefs. And she eats for that. Thank you. A lot of people may say that like Kat was tamed by Patrick in the end of the movie. I don't think she was tamed. I don't think her being vulnerable and her expressing her feelings counts as taming a woman. We can all be angry. We can all have that like, oh, these are my feminist beliefs, da da da. But you can also express real emotions. Like, your one emotion as a feminist isn't always going to be anger. Hey, that's not how all people work. And just because she ends up with Patrick doesn't necessarily mean he tamed her, as some may paint it out to be. A lot of scholars have painted it out like Patrick tamed her and he put her in her place, and now her feminism isn't really... That's not the case. That's not the case, because let me tell you one thing. When she was mad at him in the store scene where he's like, I lost my copy of Feminist Mystique, and she walks around and he's talking to her, and she ends up putting the copy of Feminist Mystique in his hand. Yeah, that's my favorite scene. That's also one of my favorite scenes. I really love this movie. But she never loses that like view and vision she has of feminism. She just learns how to incorporate vulnerability and showing other emotions and opening up to the world into that feminism. That doesn't necessarily make it taming a shrew. Now, the fact that the movie is based off of taming the shrew, and the shrew is an angry feminist, complicates it, because we're supposed to view this feminism as a negative. We're supposed to view her being a feminist as something that needs to be changed. However, it's not really changed throughout the movie. She stays strong in her beliefs. Kat starts off as a second wave feminist, a lot of scholars like to think, and then she goes into third wave feminism. Third wave feminism incorporates a lot of the attributes of what second wave feminism has, but it also allows for you to know, like, you can still date men. You can still live your life the way you want to live your life. You just incorporate all of that into your feminism. And a lot of people view this movie as showing a perfect example of how third wave feminism progresses. Now, that leads me into post-feminism of today, because we're going through such an epidemic with men and anti-feminism. What is post-feminism? Post-feminism describes this like backlash that a lot of conservative people have with the idea of feminism, mainly because they see it as like this anti-men rhetoric, which that's never what feminism in its being was supposed to be. But post-feminism and the idea of post-feminism has really built it up to that, which is why today we're seeing a lot of anti-feminism within like these podcast bros, within men on the internet, especially being influenced by a lot of these ideas of anti-feminism, because they don't actually really know what the true meaning of feminism is. Sidebar. I'm gonna give y'all a little story time. I'm gonna give a little story time. I was seeing a guy. We're having a conversation. We're just talking. And he was just someone I didn't want to talk about like stuff like that with. I wanted to keep it very surface level. But he starts talking about like feminism and everything. And I'm just like, I'm trying to stay silent. But I go, oh, I'm a feminist. And he's very much intersectional. very much intersectional. But he goes, oh, that's your religion? What are you talking about? I said, huh? And he's like, isn't that like a religion? What? God, what? And I said, no, like feminism is literally the equality of the sexes. I try to explain it on a surface level to him, and then he goes, yeah, but like that's more benefiting women. What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, that's more benefiting women. He searches up feminism, and because this is a female movement, he's like, this benefits women more. Open the schools. Open the schools back up. God, the men you are letting out into this world today, they open it up. Open the schools, please. Like, what are we talking about? And that's the problem that anti-feminism is on a rise today, because a lot of men don't know what feminism actually is. They think it's like based off of this like angry feminism, which is why Kat's trope in 10 Things I Hate About You and painting her anger as a feminist is such a negative counteracts the whole point of her being a female icon. A feminist icon, It counteracts the whole point of her being a feminist icon. Her anger is valid. She should be angry. But we're supposed to view it as this negative, like I said before. And a lot of people now view feminist anger as a negative. So a lot of men just think that feminism is this angry thing. And oh my God, feminists, like, they just can't get boyfriends. And they can't do this. And this is why they have to speak about men. And they're so anti-men. My God. Open the schools and teach them stuff. Please teach them stuff. And I don't want to bring up this spooky name, but Andrew Tate. Let's get him out of the way. Andrew Tate is like such a like example of men's hatred for women being on a rise. This man has R-word charges. He literally has done so many horrible things to women, but he preaches that like feminism is so bad and the men should be empowered more. Take back your power as a man. Take it back. Did y'all ever lose it? Did y'all ever lose it? Please. And a lot of younger men, especially with social media now, are being influenced by this a lot. Like, they hear all these podcast bros being like, oh, you gotta go 50-50 on a date. You gotta go 50-50 on a date. Don't make the girl pay for it. You are the prize. You as a man, you're the prize. You're a man. Be a man. And they're so influenced by this, and it causes a hatred towards women, and that's on a rise. Now, am I saying that this hatred for women ever went away? No, it never went away. It was always there. But it's very much on a rise now, even more, because of people like Andrew Tate and their rhetorics that they're posing towards young men who don't even simply know what feminism is, because people only point feminism out to be this angry thing that we should oppose, when that is not the case at all. Let's get rid of that thinking, okay? Let's get rid of that thinking. It's not bad that she's an angry feminist. It's actually very good. I need more angry girlies out here. I need my girls rioting on the street. Now, can she be a white feminist? Maybe. A lot of people make the argument that Kat is a white feminist. I can't agree and I can't disagree. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't think we have enough in the movie to agree or disagree. A lot of people love to bring up the scene with her teacher, where her teacher is like, Kat's like venting that there's no books made by women in this whole entire school. Like, why can't we get any books by women?
Better lunch meat or whatever it is you white girls complain about. Ask them why they can't buy a book written by a black man.
And a lot of people are like, that scene shows her white feminism. That scene shows that Kat is a white feminist. I don't really think that necessarily. She kind of just shuts up when he says that to her, because valid. Why isn't there any books written by a black person? Why isn't there any books written by a woman? I don't think that necessarily makes her a white feminist. We never really see her talk to anybody else about her feminism. But a lot of people think that makes her a white feminist, which white feminists, that's their own little thing, huh? I have my own opinions. That could be a whole separate video about white feminism. They frustrate me. I really get frustrated by white feminists, and they have existed ever since feminism has existed, which makes feminism in itself, the structure of it, a little wishy-washy there when you think about it, because you really have to think about it on the binary of everyone and not just what white feminists created to benefit themselves. I don't necessarily think Kat is a white feminist, but that's just my opinion. And other people have a different opinion about that. You can formulate that opinion on your own. All in all, 10 Things I Hate About You really shows that, like, your feminism isn't always going to be perfect. You can be angry, but you can also have your imperfections. You can also have that vulnerability. You can also develop in your feminism. We never label Bianca as a feminist in the movie, but I really do love the way Bianca sticks up for herself and kind of reclaims her own power in the movie just by that one little scene alone. My girlie did her big one in that little scene. And Bianca's arc, although I didn't really talk about it that much in this small little video essay, I think it is so important to the film, especially because we're supposed to see her as a shallow girl, that, like, she's just like every other girl. Like, she's dressing in her little skirts and she only cares about makeup and she only cares about dating. Why is that bad? Why is that bad? But you can also bring feminism into that, link them together. Oh, that might not be the best sign to make, but you can also do that. There's so many different ways you can have feminism, so many different routes, and 10 Things I Hate About You ultimately teaches us that in the end. I don't necessarily think we tame the shrew. I think the shrew just learns how to not be such a to other people. You can be a feminist and not be a to the rest of the world. And I think that's really what we learn and we take away from 10 Things I Hate About You. And we could take that away even in modern feminism today. Anti-feminism, burn. Please burn. I'm so sick and tired of you. Can we start teaching classes in school about this? Hey, women's suffrage. Hey, anything that has to do with feminism. Let's open the schools back up. They're open, but maybe don't ban books. Maybe get more books out there so people can learn properly. And yeah, that was my video essay on 10 Things I Hate About You. I wish I could have talked about it more from like a structure point throughout the movie, because I would have touched on Cameron's character and how he adds into this, and also Patrick, but they're men. They can have their own little thing. I really love this movie. Ultimately, with all its different complexities, I do love the movie. I do recommend, if you have never watched it, crazy, but go and watch it. And go and watch my Jersey vlog with my friends. Maybe the 4B movement maybe the 4B movement video essay. If you like more of a like themed like movie, my 13 going on 30 video essay. I could put it in the little title cards. I think I'll put it there. Go and watch those. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Kisses.